Limerence is a state of intense romantic infatuation that feels like you're addicted to another person. It can be a burden at any time, but times like Valentine's Day really bring those moments of romantic pain into sharp relief. Maybe you're suffering with unrequited love, or maybe forbidden love, or maybe you're just trying to bond with someone who's giving you mixed messages and uncertain commitment, and you end up trapped in a state of kind of limerence limbo, where you're unable to get closer, but you're also unwilling to give up. Well, getting over limerence is a massive task, but there are some concrete things that you can do to improve the situation. So for anyone suffering right now with heartache this Valentine's Day, here are 6 big steps that you can take to adjust your mindset about what limerence is and what it means for your life. And these should give you some immediate relief from the pain and help set you up for longer term recovery. Hi, my name is Tom Bellamy and I'm a neuroscientist and writer. And for 8 years now, I've been blogging all about limerence at livingwithlimerence.com. And over those years, we've built up a huge database of knowledge about the experience of limerence, that altered state of mind of romantic obsession, and how to recover from it. One of the critical steps in getting rid of unwanted limerence is to get into what could be called a recovery mindset. And there are 6 key insights that really help to kind of shift your thinking into that new perspective. The 6 important concepts that begin to reverse the mental programming of limerence. So let's go through them. Okay, so the first principle is that limerence is happening in your head. So limerence fundamentally is about neurochemistry. It feels spectacular, but that feeling is coming from within you. That means the recovery process has to happen in your head too. You are ultimately the only one who can reverse it, but that also means that you do have the power to do so. So it's probably been entirely unwitting on your part, but what's happened is that you've gradually trained yourself into limerence, into a habit, and it's possible to train yourself out of that habit as well. So a crucial first step in recovery is accepting that the problem is yours to own, but that you can solve it. Okay, principle number 2, which is linked into the previous idea, is that they are not that special. So your limerent object is special, but only because they trigger your limerent response. So obviously somebody who can make you feel ecstatic just by being with them, or crush your dreams with a cold word, is special, but it's you that makes them special. They seem magnificent because of the way that you respond to them. But actually, of course, they are just an ordinary person. It's unromantic to accept this, and it kind of spoils the story that you might be telling yourself about your limerence. But you have to see them clearly if you want to free yourself from their magnetic attraction. Now, you'll likely experience significant emotional resistance to this idea, to this reality of seeing them as a whole person, but that's your romance-addled limerent mind talking. Intellectually, you know they're only special because you make them so. So the third concept is that you can't just be friends. Okay, this one hurts. So it's a shame. It's probably the biggest loss associated with limerence is if your limerent object is a genuinely good person, then of course you want to try and maintain a relationship with them. And a friendship seems like the obvious choice. Now you might find yourself sort of bargaining on this and saying, well, I'm not going to let limerence decide who I can be friends with, or I'm not going to let down a friend just because I've got a crush on them. But the ultimate truth of the situation is that you will always want more from them. So they trigger something very deep in you. They trigger patterns of behavior that you learned in your past because they're connecting to subconscious needs, which you might never fully understand, but shape your sensibility to romance. So seeking friendship with a limerent object that you're infatuated with is generally a lost cause. You can't be an authentic friend to someone that you're infatuated with. It isn't good for either of you to try and keep that inauthentic friendship going. You're trying to do two contradictory things: build an emotional bond while turning off romantic desire. And it's just not feasible to be friends with somebody like that until you have overcome the limerence for them. You need space and distance to get your head straight. Otherwise, if you look at limerence like an addiction, it's a bit like an alcoholic trying to get sober through social drinking. It's not a very convincing plan. Okay, so concept number 4 is that you can't predict how they will behave. So most limerents feel an extraordinary sense of emotional connection to their limerent object, and that misleads them into believing that they really know them. Now, don't fool yourself into believing that you can predict how they will react to what you say or do, because almost by definition, limerents have a distorted view of their limerent object. Their judgment is impaired because they're in an altered state of mind. And the idealization of a limerent object means that you're not really seeing them clearly. You're projecting a lot of your own hopes and romantic dreams onto them. And the version of the limerent object that lives in your head is not the same as the real person that lives in the world. And unfortunately, many limerents have had the awful experience of thinking that they understand how their limerent object is going to react to something that they say or do, and then feeling that rush of embarrassment when their limerent object does something very different and very unpredictable. They had a kind of romantic movie running in their heads, but the limerent object doesn't have the script and ruins everything. Okay, principle number 5, you can only control your own behavior. If you want the limerence to stop, you have to take on the responsibility of stopping it. Another really common mistake is to think that you can persuade other people to behave in a way that you believe would make your life easier. You might think that, say, asking your limerent object not to text or call you anymore after a certain time, or if they're feeling lonely, or asking them to tell you how they really feel about you so you can get some closure. You might believe that that's going to help, but it probably won't. So if you have a limerent object who's giving you mixed messages or kind of uncertain commitment, you'll probably just continue to get that behavior. So they'll say things like, well, life's really complicated for me at the moment, or you know, I do care about you, but can't we just keep things simple and fun for now? So that keeps hope alive, but also keeps uncertainty alive, and it traps you in that state of limbo that you think that by steering them into behaving in the way that you want, your limerence will subside, but that very rarely happens. Alternatively, maybe you're married or committed to somebody else, and by asking your husband or wife to spend more time with you or go on more date nights or spice things up a bit, you might be able to take your mind off that other person who shouldn't be occupying it. But again, none of this is actually the solution. Any plan that requires somebody else to change things to make your life easier is ultimately doomed to fail, because you have to look to yourself for the solution, because limerence is an internal battle. And finally, principle number 6 is about looking to the future. You have to believe that there's a better life ahead. So there's a lot of hope and excitement tied up in limerence. It's all about romantic possibility. But if you've got to the point of realizing that it's gone toxic and turned into person addiction, that's a big loss to face. So the hope of bliss, the promise of opportunities is fading away. And that's hugely demoralizing, especially if you are actively looking for love. So a final step in the mindset shift to recovery is to find new sources of hope, new rewards to seek out, and to recover a sense of purpose about your life. So living with purpose means you stop depending on the limerent object for comfort, and you stop following their lead, and you stop letting their behavior dictate your mood. So to recover fully, there has to be a prospect of a happier future that you can direct your efforts towards. So that last mindset shift is all about seeking new purpose to focus your energy and your hopes upon. Look at your life and think about, where are the major points of pain? What are the unfulfilled dreams that you have that maybe you've set to one side whilst you tied yourself up in limerence limbo in the hope that that would be the solution to the problem? So think about the opportunity costs of the things that you've not been able to do while you've been caught up in this infatuation. Then think about what would actually give you a lasting sense of purpose and a lasting sense of happiness. It might be about relationships, or it might be about work, or it might be about health. It might be some soul-nourishing hobby or pursuit or charitable endeavour. Obviously, it's a very personal thing to try and identify these purposeful goals that you can work towards. But it's really important to leave limerence in the past and look at it as a stage in life that you're now working beyond into a phase of personal renewal, where you're finding something new and positive to work towards. Okay, so those are the 6 critical mindset shifts that get you ready and can help with recovery from limerence. But obviously there's a lot more to the story than that. Now, if you are in a mess with limerence and you need urgent help to escape, I do have an online course that is specifically designed to help deprogram you out of that altered state of mind quickly and efficiently, and help plan for a more purposeful future. So there's a link in the description below for those people who think that they would benefit from that course. But there's lots of free resources available at livingwithlimerence.com too. So head over there to the resources page to find more information about how to recover from limerence. Okay, that's it. So for anyone suffering with limerence this Valentine's Day, or any other day that you're watching this really, I wish you strength, and I hope that this video has helped. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you'd like more, and I'll see you next time.